Hi everyone, my name is Ben Wright Human, cartoonist extraordinaire, and welcome to a D&D live draw session. Now you may notice that the camera and audio are working a little bit differently. This is because I'm trying out a new setup. I'm actually planning on doing a much bigger live stream later this week, so I wanted to see if we could get this working. It's a big part of why there's a delay. We are also having a little bit more of a delay, but I did want to go ahead and get the stream started. I just discovered that for whatever reason, I was going to build the character on D&D Beyond, but for some reason it's giving me limited options. And it's not what I want for this. So I'm actually trying to find another sheet that I can use to enter all this in. So I'm just going to go ahead and get the stream started, work on that, and let you guys stream in. A bunch of old character sheets. I wonder if I can blank one of these out. In the meantime, this is a live stream in promotion of Less Than Secret, a cryptid comics anthology, currently up on Kickstarter. You can find that at tinyurl.com/BWHComics. Let me get the banner at the bottom of the screen. There you go. And this is a great project I've been working on with a number of other creators. We've got a great team, 7 stories, all to go in wildly different directions. And we're just about at the $5,000 goal. Last I checked, we're less than $50 from it. And once we hit that, we'll be paying our creators $20 a page. And if we can get 6,000 past that, we're going to be doing $25 per page. In addition, we have a big announcement once we hit 5,000 of something extra we're adding to the next stretch goal. So look forward to that. We should have more information on that shortly. I think I found what I was looking for. Bringing it up now. Yes, yes, this is what I needed. Okay, let's get this party started while people continue to trickle in. So the first part of any good random rolling is having your sheets ready to go. So first thing we're going to do is put together the character. Now to begin with, I normally do this with regular dice, but because I want you guys to be able to see this, I'm going to do it using Google, because Google is actually a pretty good dice roller. Watch this. Roll 46, drop lowest. Well, my phone would have done it. Try roll 46. There we go. Google has a built-in die roller. All right, so the way rolling stats works, if you are not familiar with it, you determine everything about your character in Dungeons & Dragons based on dice roll. And when you're determining each of the basic statistics of the person, you roll 4 6-sided dice, and then you drop the lowest number. So in this case, lowest number would be one of the 2s, so you get 8. 2 plus 3 plus 3 equals 8. So that's going to give this character a starting strength of 8. Let's do it again. Lowest is 3, so that's going to be 10. Just realized I'm putting it in the form backwards. This took me a long time to understand. I tended to put the actual stat number in the big part. Here, ooh, high constitution. We're looking at 16. Looking at 15, high intelligence. I did it again, didn't I? 16, 15. Wow, it's being very generous with me. That's 17, isn't it? And there we go. That's going to be a 9. All right, this gives us the most basic information about our character. So basic thing to think about is average is 10 or 11. So we have someone who is below average strength and below average charisma, but not by much. Dexterity is average, but very high constitution, intelligence, and wisdom. So my guess is this is going to end up being a magic person. We're going to have to figure that out because having high intelligence and wisdom are big for that, and constitution can be very helpful for magic people. Now, next thing we're going to figure out is the character's fantasy race, which they're beginning to change the terminology for this. Because, well, there are some definite issues that have been brought up with referring to these different groups as races. What Pathfinder does, and what I'm going to try to switch to in general, is the term ancestry. Because it's a little more accurate. Well, in that system, it's definitely more accurate, but that's more along the lines of what they're going for some of this. So we have a ton of options. Let's get an actual count of how many different races there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm actually not necessarily going to do all of these. Ooh, some of them are even unearthed arcana, so there's some of the new ones. Here's how we are going to do this. Going back to the random roller, we're going to roll 2d10. Okay, it says 12 there, but that's not actually how we're doing this. You roll 2d10. These are also called percentile dice because if you use 1 as the tens column and 1 as the zeros column, you get 1 to 100. So you can actually do a percentage or something along those lines. Here we have 48. Now, I don't know that we have 48 races here, but let's find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. We're getting there. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. We had exactly enough, and we are going to be doing an owl folk. This is exciting. I've read a little bit on this, but I've never actually messed with an owl folk. So let's take a look at what their statistics are. By the way, this is something that is referred to as UA content or unearthed arcana. This is stuff that's still being tested. It's not considered official, but that's where a lot of the really fun stuff goes before it ends up being added into more mainstream D&D. So it's exciting that we get to mess with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and read this because it's interesting and it's one of the newer races. Distant kin to giant owls, owl folk come in many shapes and sizes, from petite and fluffy to wide-winged and majestic. Owl folk have arms and legs like other humanoids, as well as wings that extend from their backs and shoulders. Because of their ancestral tie to the Feywild, owl folk can innately see the magic of their surroundings. Like owls, owl folk are graced with feathers that make no sound when they move or fly, making it easy for them to sneak up on you in the library. Your owl folk character might be nocturnal, or perhaps your character is simply prone to rise later, embodying the common nickname of night owl. Okay, let's see. Okay, so one of the things that's interesting, and this comes up with the ancestry issue, they are moving away in D&D from classes giving you specific stats, like orcs are always stronger and stuff like that. Instead, they're giving you, basically everyone gets to pick a couple stats that they boost, which is an interesting way to take it. I kind of like it. So we'll figure out those stats later, probably based on whatever class I end up going with. See, jump all that. Size. You can be medium or small. We're going to do a quick coin flip to find out. Coin flip. Let's just do, guess I should have said odd or even for making a decision. The first one they listed was odd. The second one is even. They listed medium. So size is going to be medium. Walking speed 30. I should go ahead and type in owl folk. Abilities, dark vision. "90 feet. Magic sight. Magic as ritual. And I can cast it normally with any spell slots I have. Okay, that's good to know. You never need to have it prepared. Nimble flight. And silent feathers gives me proficiency in stealth off the bat. Cool. All right. Well, we have those basic statistics in there. Let's bring, we already have D&D Beyond back up. Okay. So next thing we're going to need to figure out is the class. Now, like I said, we're likely going to want to do a spellcaster for this. It's sort of what this build is indicating. Classes. All classes. I'm going to probably be changing these numbers a little bit later, but just for now, I'm going to put these in there so I can have a quick reference. These are the modifiers based on the numbers that are listed. It's pretty straightforward to have memorized, so I pretty much do 10, 11, so 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. That's plus 3, plus 2, plus 3, and minus 1. I'll be adding based on, sorry, tongue-tied. I'll be adding based on the ancestry in a little bit. But first, I want to figure out the class so we know where we're adding to. So basic personality of this person, by the way, they're not very strong. Not they're about average dexterity. That's their speed and their ability to dodge or do things like sleight of hand. And they're low charisma, which means they're not particularly good at persuasion, intimidation, any of the social stuff that you do dealing with other people. What they do have is they are very wise. They are very tough. There's the tomato test, which is a good way to explain this, actually. There's a tomato can be used to explain each of these. Strength is your ability to crush a tomato. Dexterity is how accurately you can throw a tomato. Constitution is how easily you can avoid getting sick from eating a rotten tomato. Intelligence is knowing that a tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing not to put tomato in a fruit salad. And charisma is the ability to sell a tomato-based fruit salad. It's a common thing to go through D&D. So let's look over the classes. Let's start with the basic classes. I'm not going to random rule this because we have stats that we can work with. And I'd kind of like the roll down the line method. So cleric, one of the things you'll note here, it lists the saves. That's a good general rule for what the best two stats for that class are, although you can go off of that. Cleric generally likes having charisma, but high wisdom is a very good thing. And I might be able to boost that up a level because of where the number is. Druid might make a little bit more sense because intelligence and wisdom being the primary, that's a pretty good thing for that. And also, constitution, very big deal with that. Fighter makes no sense. Monk makes no sense. Paladin, oh, primary ability also is listed. Like, that's good to know. Yeah, Paladin, no. Ranger, no. Rogue, no. I've been thinking sorcerer, but I forgot the sorcerers are charisma based, so that's a no. Warlock, also charisma based, no. Wizard is a maybe, but wisdom is stronger than intelligence here. Artificer is an interesting option. I don't know much about the Artificer, but con and intelligence, my constitution is very good. So that's something else that ought to be considered. Constitution is one of those stats that doesn't get to add into a lot of things. I recently played a high Constitution character for the first time. It's actually pretty interesting. They're a blood hunter, which I don't think would be a good fit for this. So I'm thinking either Artificer or Druid. Let's take a look at Artificer. Druid might make more sense, but I think we might be able to make Artificer work. Let's take a look. Got to do a quick bit of reading. I forgot you can wear armor when you're an Artificer. That's interesting since it's sort of a magic class. Not clear to me why con is a good benefit here. Be honest, I am not feeling Artificer quite for this. I think Druid is our best bet. So I am going to pick Druid. And just for sake of ease, I'm starting at level 1. Now, one of the things that I'm going to do now is the stat bonuses for Owlfolk. Like one of the things it mentioned is I have 3 points that I can distribute. I can not do more than a 2-point boost. I think one of the things I'm definitely going to do, because wisdom is very important to druids, is I'm going to boost wisdom to 18. So I'm going to use 1 point for that. Gets me to +4. Whoa, what just happened? +4. Nope, there we go. Wow, this form is being weird. There we go. Let's see. I can also, in theory, get my intelligence to a +3 and my charisma to a +0 just off of this. But I may want to keep those negatives there. You know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to boost wisdom to 19, boost intelligence, and now that information is done. So we have the first couple of things. We have the race, we have the basic stats, we have the class. This is some of the most important stuff. One other thing I'm going to go ahead and determine. How do I clear this? Is there a quick way? No. I'm going to start with presenting gender, just so I have some basic information. Let's go with, actually, I'm going to do 1d6. We're going to do for 1 to 2 male, 3 to 4 female, and 5 to 6 non-binary. Female. All right. Presents as female. Excellent. Let us see what's next. One of the most important questions, alignment. Let us roll a d10 for that. If you're not familiar with the alignment chart, it's pretty straightforward. There is a 9x9 grid. I'm sorry, 3x3 grid, 9 squares. And the top of the square is lawful, neutral, or chaotic. If you are a favor of order, authority, if you have a strict code, or if you're more free thinking, if you're anti-establishment, if you are, you get the idea. Like that's sort of the first spectrum. The other spectrum is good, neutral, and evil, which in D&D terms, what that really basically means is altruistic, kind of in the middle, or self-interested. That's sort of how it tends to break down. And you get a combination of 9 from that. Now, this is just basic personality stuff. It does not automatically mean, oh, you are the villain. So let's see where this character lies. I'm going to random roll alignment. And if it's a 10, I'll re-roll. Oops, it did 2 of them. First one was 7. So we're going to go with lawful evil. I actually like evil druids. I find them interesting. So you can do some fun stuff with that. Background, let's get into that. Now, there are also a ton of backgrounds in D&D. They've been growing and growing as the game has been running. So, up over there. And this is one of the ones where there are so many. I'm going to do another D100 roll. $58. All right, let's see what we get. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. Characters in noble, which is unusual for a druid, but I think we can make that work. Background, noble. Do you see how all of this, by the way, is going to affect how I design the character? Like, there's a reason we're going through this whole process. It's actually really good for learning basic character writing and design. Let's see. Gives me proficiency in history, persuasion, proficiencies, gaming set. I'm going to say cards. Language. What language do owl folk default with? By the way, I don't know if I plugged it, but I'm using D&D Beyond for this service. D&D Beyond is absolutely fantastic. I really like what they do. One of the big problems with trying to get into Dungeons and Dragons is there's a serious buy-in because each of the books is incredibly expensive normally. D&D Beyond, first off, it made digital versions available in a really nice form for significantly cheaper, and they set it up so that if one person in a campaign buys it, everyone can get access to the books, which has dropped the cost of the hobby significantly. All right, so I get one other language from that. I'm also going to get a language from I'm going to start with Sylvan because they mentioned ties to the Feywild. That's a common language for that. Elvish would also make sense. I wonder if there's something I could do that'd be better than that. Yeah, I'll do Elven. Elvish, technically. Equipment. Set of fine clothes. Signet ring. Scroll of pedigree. And 25 gold. That'll come up later. Oh, and position of privilege. How do I spell privilege? There we go. Do I want to do the whole flaw thing? You know what? Yes, let's just do it just because it's interesting to see what that can do. These are some extra traits that you can random roll for. So let's get another D8 in there. 2. Personality traits. The common folk love me for my kindness and generosity. I really like that for an evil character. Ooh, that's going to be fun. Okay, let's jump to ideals. So, because a lot of these are specific to typical types of alignments, you don't have to do that, but I think I'm going to. So lawful works, evil works, any works. So there are 3 possibilities, 2, 4, and 5. I'm going to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 thing from before. 1. Responsibility. It's my duty to respect the authority of those above me, just as those below me must respect mine. Cool. That's a good one. Bond. Looks like there's no alignment restrictions in this. Looking at a 6. The common folk must see me as a hero of the people. Oh, I like that a lot for a villain. Or for lawful evil. And one more d6 roll. 3. I too often hear veiled insults and threats in every word addressed to me, and I'm quick to anger. I really like that. So I mentioned this character as a villain, but just because they're lawful evil doesn't mean they're necessarily the bad guy. What it can really mean is they, from what we just described, they're very selfish about their power. They respect the system because the system is working for them. And even if it's hurting other people, you notice the term "the common folk" quite often. This person says they want to be seen as a hero, not because they are selfless and want to give to others, but because they want the glory of being a hero. So and the system's been allowing that for them. So that's how they end up lawful evil. This could very easily be a good guy, just depending on how it's played and how it's written. And since we're starting at level 1, we're also having someone who is early in their journey. So there's a lot of interesting stuff we can do with this. Let's see. All right, let's start getting some of the druid stuff worked into here. I'm going to actually keep this tab open. Game rules, classes, druid. One of the things I like about druid villains is something I've liked to mess with. The whole idea behind druids is harmony with nature and balance and things like that. They very often tend toward neutral and chaotic and things like that because they're all about the balance of nature rather than the order of society. But one of the things that I kind of like the idea of, rather than getting their powers from harmony with nature, a druid that gets their powers from dominating nature, from forcing control onto the natural world. And like that's just an idea that I find really intriguing. I actually messed with a druid custom build called a biomancer. That was sort of a natural science style character. So starting hit points. First level, you always get 8 plus your con. So that's actually going to be 11. That's pretty good. You know, everything I've just been describing about the character, they have high wisdom. You'd think they'd kind of catch on to some of this. Light. Medium, armor, shields, no metal. Which is a weird thing. That comes from older editions mostly. Clubs, daggers. I'm not going to bother writing down all that. Herbalism kit. Saving throws. Intelligence and wisdom. All right. And I get to pick a couple extra skills. Arcana, animal handling, insight, medicine, nature, perception, religion, and survival. So we've got a noble who is extremely good at controlling the forces of nature, who is somewhere in the hierarchy and is very much about, trying to think the best way to word this, very much about being the hero of her people so that her people will worship her. Like that is what she wants. Uh, she doesn't have the charisma for it, but might she want the charisma ability? She's very intelligent also. Maybe that wisdom applies to very specific things. Let's see. Animal handling is wisdom. That might be a... Actually, that whole domineering thing, that actually makes a lot of sense for animals. I could see animal handling being a part of that. I'm going to go ahead and click that. Let's see. Insight. Be interesting if they weren't particularly insightful. Medicine, nature, perception, religion, and survival. I'm going to go with perception. That's always a good one to have. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. A wooden shield or any simple weapon, scimitar, simple melee weapon, leather armor, explorer's pack, and a druidic focus. Let's go into some of the abilities first. Oh, language, druidic. Spell casting we'll get into in a minute. Oh, that's all we're going to need for the first level. Okay, cool. So let's figure out what equipment we'd want to have. Let's go back now to that weapons list. We've got wooden shield or any simple weapon that doesn't help a lot. Okay, we've got clubs, daggers, darts, javelins, maces, quarterstaffs, scimitars, sickles, slings, spears. So what would seem a noble weapon? For a flying character too, like that's worth noting. Wait a minute. Okay, this is not at all what I was thinking, but I've basically been, in some ways, I've been describing Hawk Girl from DC. Never even occurred to me. Yeah, if I go with Mace, that's all I'm going to be able to think of. So not Mace. My instinct. This character is also not very dexterous. So I'm thinking having a shield is probably a good idea. Let me look up the stats on shield for a second. I need to make sure that using a shield doesn't mess with your ability to cast spells or something like that. This is part of why D&D Beyond is great, is you can actually search everything. Let's take a look. Yeah, nothing about it interfering with spell casting. If anyone in the chat knows whether it can or not, put it in the comments. Otherwise, I'm going to put on shield. It's going to be an ornate wooden shield, all wood. Maybe with vines or something. Ooh, that actually could be really cool, like a shield that where all the bindings vines. That might be what I end up doing. We need a weapon. Let's go back to the druid list. It's definitely going to be something that uses dexterity and not strength, or that's purely symbolic, one of the two. Purely symbolic actually seems like a good way to do it. Yeah, I'm going to go with. I think I'm going to go with scimitar. It is sort of the recommended one, but I think that also makes the most sense for this character. Uh, Also, leather armor, which I believe means that AC will, with all of that, I think AC is going to be 13 if I'm doing my math correctly. Uh, you can tell I play a lot of D&D when like I just have some of that math done. Get that from the shield. Not leather golem armor. Come on. Maybe I do type leather armor. There we go. Light armor, 11 plus dex. Yeah. Okay, cool. The 13 because of the shield. I think that's most of what we're going to need to know to do the character design. The only extra thing I want to put in there, I do want to start thinking about the spells because that flavors a lot of how you do the character. Starting spells. Where's that table? There we go. I know. Two cantrips, two level one spells. Or I guess those are how many slots I have. First level, two cantrips. Choose a number of druid spells equal to your wisdom modifier plus your druid level minimum of one spell. Okay, because my wisdom modifier is high, I believe I have, that means I get 5 spells. My spell save DC should be, would it be not 15, it'd be 13, I think. My spell attack bonus should be plus, uh, wait, it would be +6, I believe. Where's the math? Spell save 8 plus 2 plus 4, so 14. Proficiency bonus plus wisdom. Yeah, okay, cool. Oh no, spell casting abilities +4. That's what was screwing me up. And spell time. Spells, druid spells. Sort by level. How long does it last? You know what? Giving you Shillelagh, and I'm changing what I did before because I wasn't happy with Scimitar. Uh, Club. It's going to be an ornate club, but it will be a club. So Shillelagh is going to be one of the spells. That makes a lot of sense. Not particularly strong. I almost always give some version of this because it's useful. Druidcraft. If you are a caster and you can't do prestidigitation, thaumaturgy, or Druidcraft, something's wrong. Let's see. Okay, now let's get into the level 1 spells. There's going to be a bunch of these. Since I have as many as I do. Animal friendships on there. I like the idea though that it's a domination thing. Actually, what's Beast Spawn? Yeah. This also seems like the type of character that would have charmed person. That's why they aren't charismatic, because they try to force their charisma on other people. I can detect magic for free. I'm going to do healing word. Advantage of a flying character. If you're going to do a healing spell, healing word is probably the one to go with. Skip those. Okay, we're through that. Now I got to do 2 more. How about Earth Tremor for a flying character sounds really useful. Turn the entire area into difficult terrain that's not a problem for you? Yeah, I'll do that. What's Ice Knife? I like that. Ice Knife. Okay, so we have the spells. We have basically everything we need to figure out what this character is going to be like. I'm glad I did the spells first because Shillelagh changed a lot. But yeah, I think I have a pretty good idea of who this character is. Oh, initiative would be 0. Yeah, okay. Now we get to the fun part, the part you've all been waiting for. Let's actually draw this character. So, owl folk. Oh, I wanted to turn down the. You know what? I think it's going to be useful to have an image of an owl handy. A lot of cute owls here. Owls have part of the design of the owl face is they actually can have faces that are almost shaped in a sense like ears to funnel sound from different directions towards their actual ear holes. It's an interesting little detail. So that's part of why they look the way they do. I think she'll still probably have the roundish body, even though I'm going to do basic shape to start. I need reference 4. That should do it. Seems a little unusual to me that it wasn't in the stats that they've got opposable feet. Like that's something I would have put in. I'm going to keep the wings in for the sake of not giving myself a raging headache from trying to draw good owl wings. So here's going to be the basic shape. Oh, and shield. Haven't done a kite shield in a while. Let's do that. All right, let's do detail now. You know what? Feathers are going to be kind of swoop back. Maybe, you know what? Some ruffle right there. Wearing armor, I'd forgotten about that. So armor's going to need to will go on top. I also think I'm going to fix something here. We're going to have a scarf that is being used in part to link in a tabard that goes over it. A belt with a hook for the club when not using it. We're going to have little nubs holding these vines together. I'm actually going to make it actually thorny vines. That's actually a really cool image, isn't it? It'll have a paint job over it. It's going to have wrapped around the wrist. Seems useful for someone who's going to be flying around a lot. It's a very stylized club. carved to look like an owl on the end, I think. Let's get that part going out. Putting the character in pants feels a little weird. That's a weird thing to say, isn't it? Yeah, I think I'm going to leave the legs as they are just because I kind of like that look. Guess it's kind of a classic Disney look. There we go. That's going to be the basics of the design. Yeah, let's get her inked. Is that too Kate Beaton? It's a little Kate Beaton, but I like it. Here. There we go. Oh, I need a druidic focus. You know what? I'm going to say the club is the druidic focus. Just realized I got that stroke very wrong. Here we go. And by the way, one thing I just wanted to point out, just because I've been working on this for a while, this character came completely out of the ether. We random rolled all of this. Which I personally think is one of the cooler things about D&D. I just figured out what I could do to jazz this up a little. This very easy thing that in this character's mind will add some class. But yeah, D&D is one of the great ways to improve your character writing and conception. Like you can really come up with some interesting stuff by just messing with it. It's dramatically improved my ability to write a character. Go. Its own interesting way, it's a great tool for gaining better empathy because you effectively have to learn how to think like somebody else, which is not easy for a lot of people. Definitely not easy for me. But D&D has really helped me do it, and I've noticed playing it more and more the last few years, it has caused some significant improvements to how I do things. It's not obvious. This is the more typical talking point portion of the show because I finally don't have to constantly be thinking about what to add. Now I can just go into Zen mode. Go. So before I started today's stream, we were at, I believe, 49.47 on the Kickstarter. So I'm wondering if by the time I finish this, I'm going to find out that we actually hit that $5,000 goal. If we are able to make that, I'll go ahead and give you guys a little preview where you have an announcement with it, where we are going to, in addition to the next goal being 6,000, which hopefully we'll be able to do in the next week when the Kickstarter ends, we have decided that we are going to do a role-playing game stream sometime in the future with a bunch of the people, just as long as we're able to hit that next $6,000 goal. And that's in addition to what we were already going to do with if we hit 6,000, our artists get paid more. So that's not changing, but this would be in addition to that. Putting little notches in the shield is a good way to make those vines work better, I think. We're talking about doing a system called Monster of the Week, but it's not 100% yet. One of the, like, it's a really cool system. I really like it. We're not, a number of the people that might be involved haven't really done much streaming before. I mean, haven't done much role playing either. So we're worried we might need a simpler system, but that is tentatively what we are talking about doing. It's going to make it like a weird, complicated knot. Oh, I have a cool idea. Make it look like a rose. That'll look awesome. Let's have the thorns coming off the. If you're interested in that Kickstarter I mentioned, by the way, links at the bottom of the screen. One thing that I'm also trying to get used to with this setup is the camera's up here, not on my computer, which is what I'm used to. I don't know that I like this flat end for the tabard. Let's try that. Bam, bam. I'm putting, I'll take care of that in a second, but I think I might put like rings or something similar on the talons. I repeat my confusion that the talons are non-functional and the stats of these things. Like, it seems like that should be part of owl folk or like opposable feet. I was designing bat folk a while back. Actually, looking at the stats for these, I might do some modifications. This seems very similar in a lot of ways to the Aarakocra, which is another bird creature or a bird person in these settings. Let's, there we go. That'll do for the wings. We have the basics of the character. I think we're going to do some more detail fleshing out in the coloring layer. I want to go ahead and save this, but I need a name. Let's see what this character should be named. Now, this is another trick I like to do when coming up with character names. I think this is the, yep. Now, random letter. Will that work? Nope. Random number 1, 2, 26. 5. All right, so I'm going to start with the letter E. That's the 5th letter of the alphabet. Elwarai. Elwarai. Yep, that's the name. Elwarai. Let's get her saved. Elwarai. Half the fun of making a D&D character is making a name that none of your friends can pronounce. I got a lot of stuff on here. All right, let's color the character, because why not? I'm going a little long, but who cares? Now let's go back to the owl images. I think that coloration will be pretty good. Beautiful. And this hand too. The legs. I often just do flat colors, but I kind of like the idea of having a little bit of texture for these feathers. I'm going to use the blur tool. This fingertip, what do I need? I need blur. There we go. Just to smooth that spot out. Oh, and I need to go back here because we have to do the wings too. Hey, Emma, how's it going? Should I have named the character Emma? This character is technically evil, so I'm not sure you want that. Evil's probably the wrong word. Misguided is what this character actually is. It wasn't delayed. I only just spotted it. I actually bring it up when it comes up on the screen. And at my current setup, I'm looking away from it a lot. Plus, chat had been pretty quiet. Hadn't actually been paying as much attention as I probably should have, and I apologize for that. Let's see. Color. Let's jump to there. Go. Now, that should be all the color for the skin. Let's get a good wood texture color. How's that going to look? Yep, that'll work for polished wood. More. Here we go. Shield's going to be made of wood as well. Create a little bit of texture to it. I might actually paint on top of it. I want to create the look, roughly, of boards. That is basically a mace with the head of an owl. Stat-wise, it's technically a club, but yes, it's a mace with the head of an owl. Because when you're an owl person, you kind of roll with that, I think. Let's see. Do light. Let's do the flower section or the vines. Uh-oh. That scared me. Hold up. The camera just shifted. Why are you falling? Hold on. Uh-oh. That's scary. We're good. Disaster averted. That's been holding up for over an hour, so that's good. Let's go with a deep red with a rose in the center of the shield. Make the armor a deep leather color. All right, let's see what we can do for additional coloration. What should the tabard be? I'm thinking a deep green. Deeper than that. Yeah, that'll work. Now let's go for since there's a weird rule about druids in D&D not using much metal, I'm going to go ahead and make this a wooden belt buckle. I don't actually know if that's a thing, but it makes sense to me for this character. There we go. And for the edge, I'm thinking a red so deep it's almost purple. Let's see what that does. Might need to red that up a little bit more, but let's get it started. Actually, that works better than I would have thought. Actually thinking of making the sleeves the poof sleeve. And now I want it to be lighter green. Go for a yellow on the eyes. Just realized I hadn't done those yet. What do we need to do next? I think we've got the core, don't we? We do. Let's do some detailing. I think we can do a few fun things with this. I'm going to switch to a denser brush and maybe turn it down to 75. See what happens. Turn it down more. So it looks a little faded. There we go. Get to UI designers, could you please stop making scroll bars hard to see? It's getting really old. That should create kind of a cool thorn pattern. I like that. How are we looking? Put a seam there. Couple nicks so it doesn't look perfect. All right, I think that's going to do the basic detailing. Let's jump into shading. And this will be pretty much the last design step. Get a better purple than that. How's that? That'll work. I always like shading with purple because most light is yellow tinted, and the complementary color of that is purple, so most shadows actually read better as purple if you do them that way. You don't want it to be too bright. In fact, I need to turn this down a little more. Doing a lot of stuff soft with this. I often do harder colors, but just felt right for this character because she's fluffy, all his feathers. Let's see. There we go. Ah, you're going to add pattern to the owl's feathers. Most owls have banding, ticking, spots, etc. I probably should, shouldn't I? After I do the shading, because I can work underneath the shading. I will go back and do that. If you have specific suggestions for spots, let me know, because I am making this up as I go along. When I started this, I didn't even know I was going to be doing an owl folk. Like that just ended up happening, and I'm like, well, guess I'm drawing an owl person today. But it didn't come out right. There we go. Something I'm going to do that is basically invisible, but I want to make sure that it doesn't cause any problems. Actually, let me turn off the background. Yeah, I'm going to need to do this for the entire character. Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. What just happened? Oh, crap. Hold on. All right. I just had my screens get screwed up for a second. Did I just do something stupid? Why did that make everything darker? Oh, because you weren't white. That's why. All right, if I did that correctly. Nice little bit around the edge. It's right there and there. Cool. One reason I like to work in, I set this up so the background's transparent. If I did ever use this D&D character in an online system, that's actually going to help a lot. It's also why I work square. Let's see. So different spots and patterns. Yeah, sections that are darker, sections that are lighter. I should be able to make that happen. Let's see. I go there. Now let's get some dark in there. I don't like that on the legs. I might just keep it to the wings. That purple I don't think multiply is coming through correctly. It happens sometimes in this program and I don't know why. I'm gonna drop it to 30. Okay. I think that's our character. Whew. Well, that was a journey. Yeah. So this is completely unrelated, but I just saw a funny news story. A town in Canada lost internet because beavers chewed through the cables. Yeah, well, that's what you get for making your cables look like wood. Yeah, don't know how that ended up happening. But yeah, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up there. Thank you, Emma, for joining me in the chat. And thank you, everyone who watched this and or who catches this in replay. If you are not familiar, I am currently in the last week of a Kickstarter, which is why I'm doing these live streams. The Kickstarter is for Less Than Secret. It's a cryptid comics anthology that I was one of the main organizers and a participant in. We have a total of 7 stories by a bunch of creators, all about cryptids, all taken in great and vastly different directions, and they're all excellent. I highly recommend checking it out if you have not already. Like I said, we're in the last week. We are almost right before I started this live stream, we were just about $50 shy of our $5,000 stretch goal, at which point we'll be paying our contributors $20 per page. And the next goal after that is going to be $6,000. If we hit that, we're going to do $25 per page for all our creators. And we are also going to do a live stream of a bunch of our creators doing a tabletop RPG that's cryptid themed. We're still figuring out which system we're going to do, but we will do that in the future. So if you're interested in that, go to tinyurl.com/less-than-secret. We'd love to have your support. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up. Thank you very much again. And until next time, rock on, guys, and never stop drawing.